In order to teach or perform forward, backward, reverse, and inward optional dives well, it is necessary to understand how to initiate rotation, maintain proper balance, and achieve correct, safe distance. As we study each direction of rotation, let's look first at how the takeoff should be balanced, and then the relationship between this balance, the rotational forces, and the distance from the board. In forward somersaulting dives, as the diver lands on the board, the balance should be over the front of the feet. After the arms swing up to an overhead position, the body weight should be shifted to develop a forward lean before beginning the somersaulting action. The rotation is created near the end of the leg extension by a one-piece movement of the head, arms, and upper body in an upward, forward, and outward direction, which creates a piking action in the hips as the legs finish their extension and the board pushes the diver upward. This one-piece motion of the upper half of the body creates a force which causes an equal and opposite force of the feet pushing forward against the board. The board then imparts an equal and opposite force against the feet in the backward direction. This creates rotation and causes the diver to travel backward toward the board. If the correct amount of forward lean is developed before the somersault is started, the travel backward toward the board from the somersault force will result in good distance. Getting the right amount of somersault rotation for different dives depends on the amount and strength of the one-piece piking movement performed while on the board. Note in the 1 1/2 somersault, Wendy has a minimum amount of pike at takeoff, whereas in the 2 1/2 somersault, there is more pike. And more pike yet in the 3 1/2 somersault. Here is a front view of the one-piece somersaulting motion. Note that the arms are straight and parallel through this movement. Once the diver has left the board, if the dive is in tuck position, the hands move to the legs as they are drawn up to the body. The grab of the legs should be low on the shins, with the knees pulled tight to the chest and the heels to the hips. The head should be positioned with the chin in and the line of sight just over the top of the knees. If the diver drops the head lower and looks through the thighs, the dive will tend to over-rotate on entry. If the dive is in the pike position, the most effective pike is achieved by allowing the hands to move past the legs, so the elbows are at the knees and straight. Then wrap the forearms around the back of the legs. This position allows a tighter pike and a faster spin because both arms can work together rather than independently to pull the legs up tight to the chest. The head should be positioned so the line of sight is over the toes in order to have good orientation and to see the entry point when coming out of the spin. When it is time to come out of the somersault, one of the two come-out methods demonstrated in the entry discussion is used. The straight come-out shown first is utilized when there is not a lot of time to prepare for the entry. The second come-out method, the pike-out, is more effective, but can only be used when the dive finishes high enough to allow the added time it takes to execute. Since the inward spinning dives are initiated with the same motions as forward spinning dives, let's look at these dives next. To initiate the inward optionals correctly, the diver's balance must be maintained over the toes throughout the press, with no movement either forward or backward until the somersaulting motion is started. Notice how Kent is finished with the press and still has his weight steady and forward over the feet. The reason why this is necessary and why it is safe is related to the rotational forces generated in making the dive spin. As the one-piece pike throwing action is executed, the force of the upper body movement causes an equal and opposite force of the feet pushing forward on the board. The board's force then pushes backward against the feet, causing the diver to rotate and to move backward away from the board. This is why the diver can and should maintain a steady balance over the feet throughout the press. The techniques of getting into the tuck or pike position and for coming out of the spin are the same as the forward optionals. Again, to develop more spin requires a deeper and stronger piking action while on the board. To get a better look at the takeoff action, here is another view of the movements involved. You can clearly see the straight and parallel position of the arms and coordinated movement of the arms, head, and upper body, timed with the push of the legs and the recoil of the board. Watch and analyze Wendy and Kent as they put all the pieces of the board work, takeoff, somersaulting, come out, and entry together while executing the forward and inward optional dives. In the backward optional dives, to achieve correct balance, as the diver sits down into the bottom of the press and begins the upward arm swing and extension of the body, the weight must be shifted backward through the hips and over the heels. This must be done without leaning the shoulders back. The diver then reaches up and extends the body to a straight line, with the arms straight and parallel and the head between the arms. To develop backward rotation, the legs extend as the hips are lifted forcefully in an upward and forward direction, causing the body to arch at the hips, while the upper body maintains its straight line. The hip thrust and body arch creates a force, which causes the feet to push in the opposite direction or backward into the board. The board then creates a force forward against the feet, causing the diver to rotate and to travel toward the board. The backward lean in the takeoff, combined with the movement toward the board due to the rotational force, results in good distance. To initiate more rotation for the harder somersaulting dives, a strong hip thrust and more body arch will be needed. See the difference in the takeoff position for Wendy doing a back somersault, as compared to Kent doing a backward 2 1/2 somersault. The beginning diver should first learn to reach and extend as shown here, with the arms straight and parallel, while doing a basic back somersault in the tuck and pike position. When this skill is mastered, the diver should then learn to circle the arms laterally and slightly behind the body to the tuck or pike position, while the head and upper body push forcefully toward the legs. These movements cause a very fast acceleration of the spin. Practicing the backward somersault in the open tuck and open pike positions, as Wendy demonstrates, is the best way to learn this skill. In order to keep the head in the proper position, the diver should see the knees coming into the tuck and the feet and legs coming into the pike. Look at the movements of this technique from a front view to get a better picture of what to do. Here's the circling method performed in a backward 1 1/2 somersault in tuck position. After the circle is completed, the legs are grabbed on the shins and pulled in. As the dive reaches the 3/4 somersault position, the diver visually spots the board. This helps with orientation and is the signal to begin the come-out. Here the straight come-out method is used because there is not a lot of time to prepare for the entry. The arms and legs kick and stretch simultaneously, while the head is tilted back to a neutral position and the eyes look for the water. Wendy does a head-back kick action, which is not the preferred movement because it can cause a loss of body line and control of rotation. When the circle action is used in pike dives, the hands and arms should pass the legs as they come up and secure the pike from the back of the legs after they have moved to the chest. This allows a tight pike position to be achieved. The diver sights over the toes at the 1 1/8 somersault point to spot the board and begin the come-out. Kent executes the grab and stretch come-out method, as he has plenty of time for the entry. The hands are grabbed in preparation for the entry as the head is kept still and the body extends from the pike. Then the head and arms move backward to the entry position as the body assumes a straight alignment. Balance in the takeoff for reverse optional dives is critical because the diver must develop spin but also achieve good safe distance from the board. As the diver lands on the board, the balance should be maintained slightly backward. After the arms swing up and the body begins to extend, distance from the board and rotation for the dive are developed. As the arms reach overhead and the body completes its extension, a powerful drive of the hips upward and forward occurs, with a resultant arch at the hip joint. This sets in motion the same sequence of forces described in the backward optionals. The body movement creates a force in the backward direction, which causes the feet to push backward against the board, and the board to push against the feet in the opposite direction as it recoils, making the diver rotate in the reverse direction and travel away from the board. This body position at takeoff is what I call the C position, to give the diver a visual image of what to do. The key point for safe distance is that this body shape is performed by moving the hips up and forward, and not by moving the shoulders back and down. As we compare the takeoff position for a reverse 1 1/2 and a reverse 2 1/2, it is apparent that the amount of arch and the strength of the hip thrust increases for the more difficult dive. After leaving the board, the circling motions into the tuck position are the same as the backward 1 1/2 somersault. At the 3/4 somersault position, the diver visually spots the water in front of the entry point and begins the come-out. Wendy again shows the straight come-out action so she can prepare for the entry quickly. The reverse somersault in open tuck and open pike are the way to practice correct execution of the circling technique, as well as getting into a tight tuck or pike position. Here is the reverse 1 1/2 somersault in pike position. Let's check the key points. Balance slightly back on landing. Hips moving forcefully upward and forward after the press, causing the C position. Circling the arms down and back and past the legs as the head and chest press toward the legs and the eyes see the legs coming into the pike. Grab the legs from behind. Spot the water over the toes at the 1 1/8 somersault position. Grab the hands for the entry as the pike opens, with the head held forward. Then open the body to a straight line as the head moves back to neutral and the arms extend to line up with the head. Use this next segment to study the skills and concepts of the back and reverse optional dives in action.